Hello and welcome to Spotlight Indie. I'm your host, Frasier Armitage, part-time robot, full-time nerd. And joining me today is the crew of Alt Stories. We have the absolutely incredible and what's the other words beginning with ink? The inky Emily Inkpen. Emily, hello, how are you doing?
Hello, I'm very inky. Yes, thank you.
Yeah.
Yes.
We'd like to give you a warm, inky welcome.
I am very inky. Yes.
And also joining us is the founder and creator of
I thought you were
Alt
going to say
Stories.
Gregorius then. But,
And Gregorius,
yeah.
yeah.
Oh,
The Greggy, Chris Gregory. So, Chris,
good
how
evening,
you doing?
Frasier. I'm very well, thank you.
Are you Greggy?
I am Greggy, yes.
Okay, yeah, there we go.
Whatever that is, I am that, yes.
We've got an Inky Inkpen and a Greggy Gregory in the. Try saying that like after you've had a beer
On a podcast.
On a podcast, yeah. But it's great to have you guys here. You are very beloved by us here at Spotlight Indie. We absolutely love indie creators, and what you guys are doing as indie creators is something special because you're kind of creating everything from scratch yourselves when it comes to audio drama, all things audio drama. Tell me, Chris, because Alt Stories has been going on for a long time, what was going through your head before you began it? Sort of like when it came to like deciding, right, I'm going to start Alt Stories. Talk me through that process.
Wow. So that is going back a while. So
it's the moment of madness.
I know, like the
Yes.
Big Bang theory of alternative stories. So yes, well, I had a set of skills from music production, so I knew my way around the software and how to make things sound kind of reasonable. I've also always been into drama and telling stories, and I realized that I could put those two skill sets together and create some dramas, some radio dramas. I've always been a fan of radio drama as well. Myself and Emily kind of largely bonded over Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, and it's very rare that you find someone who can recite pretty much every episode off by heart, and we found that we both could. So yeah, radio drama, having the skills to do this stuff, and the ambition, and then kind of on the job working out how to do it, how to find actors, how to direct them, how to splice their audio together. And alternative stories was because I wanted to tell stories that no one else was telling, really. So we started off doing stories from mythology and folklore, but from the perspective of minor characters in those myths. And I think we've probably kept that ethos going, although with 250,000 downloads for the Dex Legacy and more, it's not that alternative anymore. But but yeah, so that's kind of how it started, Frasier.
You can't really change it to mainstream stories though now, can you? That wouldn't be as fun.
Middle of the road stories. No,
Yeah.
not really.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah. Distinctly expected stories. Yes.
Yeah. Fully predictable stories.
Yeah. Inky Greggy stories.
Inky Greggy stories.
In terms of the Dex Legacy, because the Dex Legacy grew out from alternative stories, it was very much something that you, Emily, created, but you, Chris, curated, I would say, into existence. Which is it's a lovely collaboration between you two to create this audio drama, and the way it's grown is so organically. Emily, from your side of things, what was it like for you being brought into the alternative stories family? Because being asked to write one episode is one thing, but being asked to sort of go on this journey that you're on with Chris, tell me about the big bang of that moment for you. What was that like?
Oh, well, that was a interesting one. So yeah, Chris got in touch and invited me to write an episode, a single episode, and it was very exciting. I mean, it was one of those occasions where I was like, I've never done this before, and I had zero faith that I could do it. But at the same time, I knew the Hitchhiker's Guide really well. I'd accidentally, because my mother listened to a lot of the Archers, and I sort of knew the format of it. So I thought, you know what, I'll give it a go. What's the worst that can happen? Okay, like let's have some faith, Emily. Let's take this leap. So I did, and it was really cool. It was really, really fun. It was in lockdown. And I remember Chris being very, very enthusiastic. And I thought he was just being really, really nice. And then it went out. And Chris told me repeatedly that it was like the best, most listened to audio like episode that year. And I only revealed to Chris recently that I genuinely thought he was lying about that because he just wanted to make more. And I genuinely, for a long time, thought
I was actually only got 12 downloads.
Exactly right. So I genuinely just thought he was being really, really nice and was like, yeah, it's the most successful one this year. And, we should make more. Turns out, no, that wasn't a lie. It was true. So, yeah, we made the sequel. Really, it was a case of Chris saying, I want to make more. And me sort of replying, well, how much more do you want? Because there could be a lot. Like this is a lot of material here, because the original books were set 11 years ahead of the audio drama. It's 11 years of material to mine for an audio drama series. That's a lot. So yeah, it was one of those like, be careful what you wish for, Chris. And then Chris said, I wish for a series. And I was like, okay, here's 7. And yeah, that's how it went.
I love it. What I really like about this combination between the two of you is that, Chris, you set out to do something different, and Emily, you kind of came into it by accident. It just kind of happened for you. And I feel like those two things, that within that is the entire scope and spectrum of how people can get involved in audio drama. It's like very purposefully like, I'm going to create this, I'm going to do new things, I'm going to set out to do this and use my skills. And the other one, like, am I an audio dramatist? Yeah, I think I must be now. It's like, it's between that, you have every experience in audio drama. So I think it's great. You are such a good team together. What's it like working with each other?
Oh, Chris, go.
No pressure here. No, some days, Frasier, I don't know where. It's just all no. It's always amazing, and there are so many stages and phases of getting an audio drama ready, and we both have bits that we go off and do, never quite on our own, but certainly with the other one there supporting and helping. So it always starts with Emily writing the scripts. That's very much her thing. I've tried to write a few things, and they've been sort of rejected because they're not canon and no one knows the
misrepresentation. Actually,
so I support Emily.
Yeah.
I support Emily in writing the scripts, and then these scripts are presented, and then we think about how we're going to produce them. So we have a phase there where we think, well, who have we got to cast? How many days are we going to need in the studio? The pinnacle is always going into the studio, working with the actors. And then we go into this other phase where I'm doing all the post-production things. And Emily is, incredibly helpful on that side of things, because she's a second set of ears really for everything that I'm doing. So I think at every stage, we know kind of who's the lead. But we respect those boundaries, and we help each other, and it just worked really, really well. I've never had a creative partnership like this, and I know I never will again. It's just one of those things that it just works.
Yeah, I would say it is something that I thank my lucky stars for every single day, because we've both seen creative partnerships crash and burn before, and amazing projects just die as a result. And it can happen, especially because creating these things is such high pressure, And you get so involved and so emotionally invested in it, and it's a strain. And these projects are long-term projects. I mean, I start, season 2, I started drafting it in the October. We released episode 1 the following October. I've been working on it flat out for a year at that point. It's a long time, and it's a lot to bring to the table. I would say I have to defend myself on that point about the writing. I have to come back to this. I'm sorry. Chris has never written a script ever. Chris comes up with ideas for episodes, most of which I do. Okay, I make them work. There have been like 2 occasions where I've said that literally could never happen in the canon of the story. But
My heart is still broken.
The rest of the time, I absolutely make them work. Like, one of the most popular episodes in Dex Legacy is the International Confederation, which you are in, Frasier. Completely Chris's idea. Like, Chris comes up with ideas for things, and also Chris comes up with direction sometimes when I'm doing the writing that it's wood for the trees stuff. And so yeah, Chris's feedback on scripts and ideas for like special episodes and for angles that we could pursue and avenues we could sort of go down, and as long as they don't deviate too far from the path, I'm like, okay, I can make that happen. It's just a case of how. Sometimes you throw me a curveball and I'm like, ooh. But then occasionally you've said, okay, we need more to go into the studio on Tuesday, we need another interlude, and you say this on the Friday, and I write it and we record it. Like, it happens.
One of the best things you've ever written as well, by the way.
Yeah, right. My God, who saw that coming?
I just want to go back to something that Chris said earlier, just to make sure that I've properly understood it. You said Emily is like a second set of ears, not Emily has a second set of ears, right? Because that would be a very different meaning, but equally as impressive, I feel,
Yeah, I mean, she is like a second. Yeah, she doesn't have a second set of ears.
Well,
good. I'm just checking. Emily, that's correct.
I
just
might
one
have
set
a
of
second
ears.
set of ears.
And
the fact that
anatomically,
you dismissed that so readily. I could. You don't know where I keep them. No, I do not.
I feel
those elf ears that you bring out at Christmas.
We are being so badly behaved, Chris. We are being so badly behaved. We need to be serious.
Sorry,
very
sorry,
serious adults. There we go.
I feel like for a lot of indie creatives, it's very, very nice to have a second set of anything, because so many indie creators are doing it on themselves. So to be able to run things past people, to have people that you can bounce ideas off, is a real lovely thing. And I guess that's one of the joys of audio, is that there's that collaborative environment. What is really interesting to me, Chris, is that you've worked with an awful lot of different writers in your time at Alt Stories, and an awful lot of different actors. Is it nice having, because you're launching this new Specfic Radio Theatre podcast, is it nice being able to go back and sort of live out the highlights of the things that you've produced already with other people that you've worked with? Is that a nice experience for you, going back into that sort of zone?
Yeah, I mean, very much so. I mean, one of the things that is so lovely about making audio drama, very little of which I have written, none of the good stuff I've written. So I work with a lot of writers, and you're in this very intense process. So you work very closely with someone for a period of time. You make the thing, it goes out, and then you go, see you then. And we've had a couple of initiatives where we've tried to bring people together again. We will reinstate the Audio Drama Writers Forum at some point, but Specfic Radio Theatre is an opportunity to bring all the very best of that drama that we've made over the last sort of 4 or 5 years together in one place. It kind of comes from the same place as the decision we made to take the Dex Legacy away from my anthology Alternative Stories and Fake Realities podcast, where it sat alongside other drama, interviews with writers, poetry, fiction. It was like a junk shop, the best junk shop in the world, but a junk shop nonetheless. To give all this drama its own home alongside other drama. It's just a real pleasure, and I know the writers that have been involved, yourself included, Frasier, are enjoying having their dramas sort of re-aired, as it were.
Yeah, it's fantastic. I feel like with Specfic Radio Theatre, you've created a hub and a home of all of the great drama that you have produced. But then there's so much more to it, because it's also going to be a hub and home for hopefully new drama that you'll be able to produce together.
Yeah.
So, and I love that you've decided to break away from the main Alternative Stories podcast in order to give something that's exclusively dedicated to that. Emily, will you give us the pitch for like the Specfic Radio Theatre, and then Chris can mark you on how well you do?
Oh God. Okay. So Specfic Radio Theatre is a home for shorter form speculative fiction productions of 1 to 3 episodes that are high quality, full cast dramas, and standalone, and deserve to be heard, I guess. How did I do?
That's a solid 9, I would say. I
Really?
think you've done very well there. I mean, the one thing I would say, I would emphasize rather than contradict, is that it is speculative fiction. So that I have made dramas that are historical fiction and all sorts of other things. This is purely for the sci-fi, the fantasy, horror, folk horror. So it does fit very well into that term, speculative fiction. And, we know there is a lot of crossover between people who like one of those genres. The chances are they'll like others. So I think we wanted, also, it does what it says on the tin, it's theatre, it's drama, it's radio, well, it's podcast, and it's speculative fiction. And there's a lot to be said, I think, from having a podcast name that is what it is. So, yeah.
Yeah, I think that's great. Yeah. I think it's great. Is it exciting for you, Emily, to be coming back and sort of being involved in putting these episodes out there into the world? Because I assume many of these will be ones that you may not have, that you won't have been involved in the production of. Like a lot of them. So is it nice for you to be seeing these episodes and to seeing them get this new home of what you've built?
Yeah, because also some of them I'm in. It was very early days, and because Chris and I had worked on the bomb episode, I did some acting for various of the productions, and so it will be another one that pops up and is like, oh, I've got like 3 lines in this one, and that's really nice. But it's just revisiting these stories, and it's always been a bit of a shame that they've not had a home, they've not had a sort of place of their own before, and so bringing them out of the cupboard, almost bringing them out and giving them their own shelving unit and a display cabinet basically, and polishing them off and putting them on there and showcasing them to an actual specific audience who are going to be specifically interested in these things, and that is really lovely, and it feels really lovely as well, and it feels like just giving them the platform that they deserve.
Yeah, that's really nice. It is very much a case of sort of going into a bookshop and then finding the section that you want and being able to browse all of those titles, as opposed to just trying to look across every shelf. I feel like that's really good. It's a really good thing that you've done with that. So if anybody wants to check out the Specfic Radio Theatre, where can they find it?
Oh, everywhere.
It's on all podcast platforms. Just search for Specfic Radio Theatre, the British spelling of theatre, and you will.
I was going to say the British spelling of spec. Like,
that's what I was thinking. But it's like, oh yeah, theatre. Ari.
So, there you go. Look for the attractive yellowish icon that Emily designed, and yeah, there we shall be. And episode 1 is called Postcards from Another World.
Yeah,
Frasier
which everybody.
And it's rather good.
I thank you, Chris. Yeah, that was working with you, and well, Emily, you got to star in it. Chris, you made the thing, but working with everybody and making that is such a highlight. I think I often think back with such fondness as to the fun that we had doing it, and it's taught me a lot. I imagine that in terms of what you've learned from when you're looking back at these episodes, Chris and Emily, the two of you, it must be like going back in time and thinking like, oh yeah, I remember when I didn't know how to do this. I remember this was the episode where I learned how to do this, and it must have so much nostalgia for you.
I mean, Postcard from Another World was the episode that we learned that Mary Claire Wood and Sarah Golding had this amazing chemistry, and we've since cast them together in our Dex Legacy spin-off series Wasteland, and actually worked with them in real life in the studio, and just I think we kept referring back over the days we were with them to postcards and how that came out. The computer in Postcards bears more than a little similarity to a certain AI called Auto in the Dex Legacy. And yes, but it's just...
I do a good robot. I do a good robot. Yeah.
In dance and in voice. Yeah.
More in voice, I think.
Can you do the robot dance, Emily? I've never seen that.
Not in public.
Okay. I was just
or in
wondering
private. Come to that now.
I was just wondering how Frasier knew that.
I don't want anyone running away with the idea that in private I'm just cracking out the robot all the time. No, it doesn't happen.
Every Monday night, come rain or shine.
Just Monday for me. Yeah, no.
Monday's Robot Day.
Put on a bit of German techno. pull out the moves. Sorry, I've got off topic.
No, it's great. It's great. But I think as well for all of the indie creatives that are listening to this and tuning in, if you want to go and hear just a really good crop of audio drama that is speculative fiction, and if you're looking for inspiration, the Specfic Radio Theatre is a really good place to start, isn't it?
Yeah, and I would say actually a lot of anthology shows, it is a bit of it has a lot going for it, in that a lot of anthology sort of shows are very sort of, it's a short story and there's an actor reading it, as opposed to these which are full cast, full production shorts. But I mean, there's not many anthology shows out there that are that level of production for every single episode.
Yeah, and they're full cast, and with a bit of tinkering, you could put them on the stage. That's the kind of idea, really.
Yeah, exactly. So they're really high production level, sitting behind every single one of the episodes. So it's worth listening.
Yeah, definitely. That's not the only new podcast that you guys have launched recently. I want to talk to you a little bit about something else that the Spotlight Indie family are so excited about, which is the Writing Worlds podcast. Tell us a little bit about, Chris, you can tell us about this one, and Emily can mark you as to how well you do with the pitch.
Oh, okay, yes.
Okay. Well, I am 100% imposter here, because I'm not someone who does a great deal of writing worlds. I kind of create them in sound and work with writers on them. But yes, it's a podcast about the art of world building as part of a writer's toolkit if they're working in speculative fiction. These really good speculative fiction is defined by the settings, I think. We know that the characters are important. We know that the stories, the rivalries between characters, the alliances are really important. But often the abiding feel of a story is of the landscape, of the world in which it's set. And so we are talking, each week we talk with a different writer, and we talk about different aspects of world building. And I will finish shortly and let Emily mark me, but I should say we also play silly games along the way.
We do.
Yes. How did you do, Emily?
I think that was pretty good.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. I would say, okay, I'll give you a 9. Yeah.
Okay, so we've tied on that one then.
I think, yeah.
18 overall is a solid performance, guys. I like it.
Yeah.
In terms of the silly games, I know that people who tune into this channel will be familiar with our Roll for Insight game, which can get a little bit silly. But your games are even to go to even sillier lengths at times, don't they? You have a plethora of silly games at your disposal.
I mean, I would argue that one of them is quite sensible, actually, because one of the trickiest things,
as sensible as a game could get, absolutely, yeah.
Sensible as a game could get when we're involved, Emily.
Yes, absolutely, yeah.
So I'm going to describe the sensible one. I'm going to let Emily, who is, the world authority on the subject of the other one, describe it. So the sensible game is the naming game.
Mm-hmm.
And that one of the biggest challenges for writers creating worlds is what to call the things, the cities, the towns, the peoples in those worlds. And so every episode we challenge Emily and our guest to come up with names for things in their worlds. So they don't get to see it. I describe what I want named, and they have to give names. And we're going to have a little leaderboard, and we will award prizes that may or may not be stickers to the best entries.
Can I just say that the naming game probably could do with a snazzy name, because the naming game is
the irony.
The irony, yeah. You've got to think of this really elaborate name for something. Oh, this game is called the naming game. Like,
to be fair, like the next game, the other game that we play is called Would You Rather, and I have suggested that we should just call it Choose Your Death, because that's really what you're doing in it. And the thing is that sometimes when you're naming a game, sometimes it is better to just do what it says,
Yes.
and so Would You Rather is the other game that we play, and Would You Rather is basically Chris challenges the person that we're interviewing to bring a gruesome end to the podcast, and I also bring a gruesome end from normally the Dex universe to the podcast.
Well, there's plenty of them in the Dex universe.
Absolutely, it's like sport for choice. So then we pitch these demises, and then we choose which one we would rather have, which one we would rather go out with, and it's been so much fun so far, just exploring them and just being like, you're hearing this, and it's like you find yourself asking the weirdest questions, sort of like, well, not all the weirdest questions, they're very relevant when you think about it. It's like, so how fast is this going to be?
Yes.
That's always a really, really crucial one. It's like, how fast is this going to be? Am I dead at the end of it, or is there a way to come back from it? Like, is there a way to survive this in any way? And so questions like this, and you end up asking yourself the weirdest stuff. It's like, and yeah, it's a lot of fun, but it's also really grim.
So in the spirit of that, Emily,
yes.
If you were to bring a gruesome end to this episode of Spotlight Indie, how would you do it? And then, Chris, I'm going to come over to you and ask you, and then I get to pick which one it's going to be.
Oh my God! Okay. Oh shoot. Okay. Normally I get a bit of warning. Oh God.
No, zero warning. This is totally pantsed. It's like I saw it and I went for it.
Oh my God. Okay.
Well, look, while you think, I've got one that I want to share. Because I think it's one of your finest creations, Emily.
Oh, go for it.
And it's not very much of a spoiler for season 3 of the Dex Legacy, but in season 3 of the Dex Legacy.
Wait! Are you taking my one, and then I'm going to have to come up
You're
with
going to have to
one.
think of another one here.
What? I thought you were going to come up with one of your other. Oh man. Okay, so we were playing this game between us in very serious meetings before
Maybe we
took
maybe
it
we
to
need
the
to
podcast. So
maybe we both need to do the same one, because I don't normally get to play this thing, but anyway, there is the Dex characters come across another civilization, another country, and they have weapons that are more technically advanced than the
you
Dex
love
weapons.
this one.
And there is a gun that melts matter. And so one of the demises that has been mooted is, what if this gun was used on a person? And would their whole body melt, or would just part of them melt? I mean, Emily's so proud of this one.
So, the way that one potential ending of this episode is that from out of our screens, this ray is fired, and we then begin to melt. The matter of our bodies begins to melt. That's a good.
Only
that's a good way to end it.
in the radius of the beam. So the beam is about that big. So if it hits you in the belly, it will be the belly that starts to just disintegrate and lose structural integrity. So you would be aware of it happening, and there would be like a minute of, oh god, things are just sort of falling apart and not connected in the way they should be.
I think what you've done here, Emily, is you've proved that you are a consummate player of this game.
It would just start dripping and dribbling down, and then you'd end up with and it would not be nice.
It's
going to be aware of.
It's going to take a pretty macabre writer to beat Emily at this game.
So I'm thinking it's kind of like the end of Raiders of the Lost Ark, where everything's melting and that kind of thing, but just different parts of the body, and you get to sit and enjoy it while it's happening.
Localized.
So that's our first way that we end this episode, is that we all get to enjoy that. What's your gruesome idea for how this episode ends, Emily?
Oh gosh, I got distracted by that end because and making sure that you were describing it properly, Chris, and then I completely forgot to come up with an end of my own.
Crawls.
You want me to do talk crawls again? Okay. Talk crawls. Okay. I know. I'll talk crawl guardians. All right. So the crawl guardians. People don't know this. Season 1. The Varian, Isra, and Ren are fighting in the Dominos Mountains. Now, the Dominosi people have this amazing tradition. They've got giant lizards called craws, and they fly. So they're basically dragons. And they have craw temples, okay? And the craws live in the temples. And then the people who ride them have whistles that are fashioned from a tree, and every whistle is different and sounds different. So their specific craw knows and then comes. But the rest of the time they exist in these temples. They live in these temples. And the crawl guardians are criminals. This is how they deal with certain criminals in their society, is they gouge their eyes out and then send them down into the craw temple to look after the craws. But you can't go into the temple if you're not, with your eyes. You have to, be blinded. And so the Craw Temple is home to craws and craw guardians who are being punished for whatever the hell they did. There's no way out of there. And so they're these blind people, and they don't really get food parcels delivered to them. What happens is that the Dominosi dead, are delivered to the Craw Temple to be fed to the craws, so that their dead can rise again on the wings of the craws, you see. So they are consumed by the craws. And the Craw Guardians eat what the craws do not. So they're sort of, it's forced sort of cannibals, really, down there. Now, obviously, life is a bit rough for these people. Okay, so what you're talking about, like, they can live for a long time in that state. And it's not dreadful down there. I mean, they have all of their tools hung up on the wall, like they've got little dormitories, they've got sanitation, it's not as grim as it sounds. Once they get down there, they get a brief, they get an induction. They're sort of welcome to the crew,
Annual appraisal.
Absolutely. And their work is, they get to work and they exist, and there's a lot of camaraderie in the Crawl Guardians. But the fact is, the food is limited, and the chances of getting, kind of, I don't know, attacked by an angry crawl, it's reasonably high. You're
And that
blind.
you'd be eaten, wouldn't you? I mean, that's
I mean, if you're not eaten, then you're probably going to get an infection. In that environment, so it's not going to end well. So yeah, so there's a lot of downsides. It's probably putting it mildly.
Yeah, I feel like more cons than pros. I feel like
the best thing about the Craw Temple is the view, and obviously they don't have eyes, so that's not gonna really that's not gonna help. So yeah, that's the other death is Crawl Guardian.
Slowly
being eaten. Yeah.
Well, I mean, not necessarily eaten as leftovers, but just either that or getting an infection or the diet not agreeing with you.
And so you know what I'm going to do?
Yeah.
I'm not going to choose between you. I'm going to combine it. And I'm going to say, for whoever is editing this video, aka Holly, if you could just make it so that all of us slowly melt into like a giant smoothie that maybe me and Emily should melt, and then we have straws that come up to Chris, and Chris can just, if you can do this, Chris, and then you can drink us, that would be great.
I mean, Holly, you don't have to do this. That's the sort of thing I get asked to do in sound by Emily from time to time, and she'll say, "Good luck."
Yeah. I was about to say, "How very dare you?" And then I thought, "No, yeah, probably."
Yeah. So your milkshake, then the two of you.
Yeah, we're milkshake, basically. Yeah.
Cheers.
I feel like I'll probably taste of arms and Emily will taste of ink, and it's a perfect combination for you.
I hope I taste of it. It's going to be better than the alternative, like various alternatives that I can think of.
I feel like that is an excellent advert for what you can expect from writing worlds, which is just generally it will be a place of inspiration for ideas and also things that are helpful alongside it. So thank you both for playing along.
We've made it sound like an absolute bloodbath, but actually these are just small elements, and there is a lot of writing advice.
There's a lot of writing advice, but you've got to have fun. And and killing off characters is one of the delights of being a writer. Let's face it, especially a writer who's in speculative fiction, builds worlds. Normally there are demises that happen, and it's one of the fun things.
It's because everybody who's listening to this who is invested in indie creating and creating stories and how to do it, they're going to be listening to Writing Worlds to know how to world build, but you want them listening to the end, you see, and that's if you can convince people that their silliness to hang on for, they will stay. So I feel like we've done that. I feel like perfect promo for you guys. And where can people find Writing Worlds?
Oh, everywhere.
Yes, I mean, as before, just search for Writing Worlds.
Writing Worlds podcast. Writing Worlds. Yeah.
Just Writing Worlds. Actually,
just Writing Worlds.
And maybe we'll give you some links that you can put in the show notes of this as well. But yeah, Writing Worlds will get you there. Look for an icon that has a little map and the words Writing Worlds in red, I believe.
Black and red, but it's also got a little dragon and a little spaceship on it.
To show that we do sci-fi and fantasy.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah.
Yes.
I love it. Thank you for joining us and for telling us about the things that you got going on and for just being there as a really good beacon of what indie creatives can do when they put their mind to it, because what you guys create is absolutely stunning. So thank you for being here. For anybody who wants to find alternative stories and wants to find you guys, where can they find you online? Emily, let's start with you.
Oh, I am everywhere at Emily Inkpen. Very easy to find. You can find more about the Dex Legacy at thedexlegacy.com and at emilyinkpen.com, where I also write. I've got a blog there that I update quite regularly with writing tips and all sorts of things for free. So you can just go and browse that to your heart's content. So yeah, Emily Inkpen. emilyinkpen.com, at Emily Inkpen. Yeah.
And if you whisper her name very quietly 3 times, she'll hear you with her elvish ears. And that's the bit of lore
the
that
other
I'm going to
set of
throw
ears,
in.
yeah.
The other set.
Yeah.
Yeah, the other set.
The second set.
Yeah.
We won't mention the third. We'll just keep it on public on just the 2
Nobody
sets.
talks about the third.
Chris, where can people find you?
Yeah, social media at storiesalt, or on Instagram at stories.alt, because someone had already had at storiesalt, and alternativestories.com is the website. So yeah, search for us there. There are links in all of our podcasts as well, back to those sites.
Amazing. And so for any creatives who are inspired by this, go check it out. The Spec Fic Radio Theatre, Writing Worlds, or just chat with Chris and Emily about anything creative, and I'm sure that they'll tell you interesting ways that they could end you in their series.
Absolutely. So many. So many ways. I've got such a reputation for darkness in what I write, and this is it's glorious to be able to just showcase what I'm good at, you know?
It's a little slice of grimdark every week.
Absolutely. Yes. Brought to you by.
So thank you, Chris. Thank you, Emily. All the best with these podcasts, and thank you to everybody who's tuned in. This has been Spotlight Indie, and we'll see you on the next one.
Thank you, Frasier.